there, my name's Gill Tiney. I'm from Collaboration Global, and this is our podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. I'm going to be interviewing some of our members from Collaboration Global, and they're going to be sharing with you their extraordinary lives. Although they would probably believe they're just normal, everyday, average humans, but they are extraordinary. A bit like you and me. We all have our story to tell. We've all been through difficult times, and we've come out the other end having learned an extraordinary amount about ourselves that we can share with others. So I think you'll find lots of things that will resonate with where you've been in your journey as well. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Here we go. Hello and welcome back to Being Human, Hidden Depths by Collaboration Global, and my name is Gill Tiney. And we've sadly started the podcast without you, dear audience, because Melissa and I are on the same page, but possibly in different books. Or is it we're in the same book, but on different pages? I'm not quite sure yet, but we are going in the same direction, so we can't help ourselves but talk about
same series.
Yes, it is. It is. Game of Thrones, eat your heart out. This is beating everything. It's obviously we're talking about collaboration. So welcome, Melissa Davis. Welcome to the podcast today.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. You and I have had a number of conversations, and I'm really excited to be live on your podcast and dive into all things.
All things. Who knows where it's going to take us? But you've basically both of us are part of each other's communities, which is wonderful. And it just feels right that we should be doing that, because the more we talk, the more we realize not only are we passionate about collaboration, but we're actually doing something about it. We're not just going out there and collaborating with the odd person here or there and going, oh, that was lovely. We've got the communities, we've got the ideas, we've done the research, we're still doing the research. So one of my first questions to you, my love, is you've got on your LinkedIn profile, obviously I've done a bit of stalking, ecosystem builder. One of the things in my research, I came across the wonderful architect Buckminster Fuller, futurist, future thinking. Hopefully you've caught up with him as well. And he always said, one of his famous quotes is, if you want to change anything, you can't change the model that currently exists. You have to make that obsolete and create a new model. So you and I want to create for businesses the model where collaboration becomes the norm, where support and energy between each other create something that is very, very special. And previously, we feel like collaboration hasn't been used in a good way. For an example, when I first started Collaboration Global and we used to call our members collaborators, I had many people go, you can't use that word. Oh, no, you can't use that word because collaborators is a bad thing. I was like, well, yeah, I do remember what the war was about, but I'm pretty sure that if you go back to the original meaning of collaborator, it is okay. Yeah. And let's take the word back and start using it for good. If you're a collaborator, it means you're out for opportunity and you want to gather good people around you. There is a better definition than that, but that's kind of mine. Off the top. So as an ecosystem builder, and you said you're I love this, you're co-creating the next era of entrepreneurship. Go girl. Tell us what you're
co-creating with you. and everyone else doing it, right?
It's getting more and more, isn't it? The more people you come across. Tell me about your ecosystem builder. What's that all about?
So what's funny about that kind of LinkedIn headline or whatever, that's been there for years.
Really?
And it always felt a little bit imposterish because that was my aspired identity. And I don't even think I realized it until we really started to build what now I would consider touching the ecosystems.
Right.
And so it finally feels like, okay, now we're really doing something about it, and those years before that, when that was aspired for me on my LinkedIn profile, all the precursors were being formed, right? Between studying collaborative entrepreneurship, really looking at, what is it in our systems and our ecosystems right now that are broken? And that has been a study for many years.
Mm,
When you talked about, that quote, I think that's accurate. I think that, you know, you can't build new systems until the old systems are so broken, nobody wants to use them anymore.
yeah,
And I do feel like we're really approaching that.
yeah.
And will we ever see a total collapse of our old, systems? I don't know. I know enough people are really frustrated by it. I know enough people are not succeeding. And I think
Mm,
that that's that kind of first real frustration. There's the higher level of frustration that you and I have about I see that we could be approaching this in a very different way, and so many people are not, right?
yeah,
But the earlier experience of that is I had these dreams of contributing in this way
right.
and this desire for the freedom to do it the way I want to do it and to build my life the way I want to build my life and not, right, be stuck in this corporate job, building and doing,
Mm,
bringing my gifts into the world or not bringing my gifts into the world because I'm working for somebody else.
hmm.
But it just, we're just not really in systems that are allowing most people to live out that dream
No.
in
So
entrepreneurship.
in your time of doing this research and having that, when you very first put that phrase onto your LinkedIn profile, have you seen things change in society that gives you more hope or less hope for the future?
More, absolutely more. Um, I mean, I see more, just like you said, I think it was before we started recording,
Oops, sorry.
referencing the podcast that happened before. Sorry. Um, that more and there is absolutely momentum building. Now, maybe it's because when you're looking to buy a red car, you all of a sudden
Yeah,
see a lot more red cars, right?
yeah.
Um, or it's that there's energy around it and people are sensing it and feeling it and getting on board. But I really do see more and more desire, more and more frustration, and
Yeah.
more desire um, to really take a different approach, to invest and understand how to recognize how we can really utilize each other,
Mm,
and to come together in different ways. But more than anything, this underlying desire of like, there's got to be a better way to do this. There's got to be a way that I think we're all recognizing this undercurrent for ourselves, in some ways, uh, that we don't want to exist in this hyper competitive space.
no.
And I don't want to use the word more feminine over masculine.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I buy into that. I think
No.
women may tend to go first, in that approach, but just as many men, as women, I think are embracing a more collaborative approach
I
to
Yeah, I agree.
everything.
Because I remember a few years ago when we was first starting out with Collaboration Global, we had face-to-face meetings, and at the end of a meeting, we usually go to the bar or somewhere to carry on the conversation because everyone was so excited about it. And we had
Hmm.
about, I don't know, 30, 35 people in the room. And a lady came up to me afterwards and she went, Jill, why are there no women in this group? Interesting, isn't it?
It
And I
is.
looked around and I went, oh yeah. I mean, I'm oblivious, right? I don't see men, I don't see women, I don't see tall people or short people or fat people. I just don't see it. I see a human being in front of me.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until she'd said that I went, wow, where are all the women?
Hmm.
And I don't know whether it was because maybe they were fed up of going networking and that's what they were used to and they were looking for the next new thing and they thought that we might have been it, or whether they were actually, as you kind of intimated, that they're fed up with the fear, scarcity, competition paradigm that they're all stuck
Yep.
in. And women hadn't quite cottoned on that, oh, yeah, this is what we always do. And then come together in a community and carry on doing it.
I don't know that that's always true. I think women have been just as indoctrinated
Yeah,
into that
yeah.
paradigm of hyper competitiveness. I
Mm.
think we have more of a natural tendency. I don't even know that that's true. I
Well,
believe we all have a very natural tendency to collaborate,
yes.
but we've been really conditioned to almost fight against that and, to protect ourselves and to, buy into the idea that it takes grit, it takes, this radical independence
Yeah,
to make it work. And we have business besties, we have mastermind groups, we have networking, we have a lot of community,
yeah,
but we often don't take it further than, hey, we're in this tough trench together,
yeah. But this is the
parallel,
thing.
solo, all fighting different wars.
But they
We
don't
have a
say they're
shared
having it tough. In those communities, they go and everything's like, how's business? It's great, thank you. It's like
great, it's
you're
great.
not allowed to say, oh, I'm having such a bad time.
Yep,
So therefore, you don't get the support within that space. And that,
yep,
to me, community is all about support.
yep.
So I think that's a
I see
big
more and
shift.
more that vulnerability coming through
God bless
because
Brené
I
Brown.
think
Yeah.
once it cracks, right, and everybody goes, oh yeah, I'm not doing well either.
Yeah.
Right?
Reality,
Thank
reality.
goodness.
And then you can go,
I'm
right,
quite
roll up the
relieved that
sleeves.
you
What
said
can
you
we
were.
do? Business Network International, BNI, started over in California with the good old Ivan Meisner, Dr. Ivan Meisner. And he said that
Yeah.
that came out of adversity. He couldn't pay his mortgage every month and he
Mhm.
was worried what he was going to do. So he called around a dozen of his best mates to sit around a table. And they're like, yeah, we're struggling as well. I think it was through some financial
Yeah.
crisis era in early 80s. I think it's probably one of the first ones that we lived through. Um,
Hmm.
and within weeks, the 12 had become 30, become 60, become 90. And it just spread because they were allowed to say, I'm not having a great time. As that's gone on, people show up as though this is me perfect and I'm going to get more business out of it. And so
Yeah.
you hold it all in. You're not allowed to be vulnerable. But I
Yeah.
think after COVID, don't you think that's a big pin turning point where people realize, and Brené Brown and doing all of her thing about courage and vulnerability, God bless her,
Yeah.
we are now able to say and be more vulnerable rather than pitch up and pitch and hustle and do
Hmm.
what we used to do maybe in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah. It's it's really encouraging. I think that in some circles that's absolutely happening and that's the direction that we're going in. In the startup community, not as much,
Really?
right? Especially for women, right? Because it is a space that is still, fairly male dominated.
Yeah,
And there's a language, there's, right, a presentation, there's um it is you're fighting for money, right?
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and so I think it depends. I think the answer is yes and. Um, but it is shifting, and I think when things are moving, we were talking about this before we were going like things are moving very quickly. Especially when you think of, AI and you think about how economies are shifting and you think about how the workforce is shifting and
mm,
it's going to change. We're just at the beginning, I think, of this really rapid adoption phase, which is crazy to think of because we're already moving at breakneck speed. And the disruption that's going to happen
yeah,
is going to rapidly accelerate whatever momentum in any direction we're going in, I think, right now, including the braking.
yeah,
I,
yeah,
and I would say almost especially the braking.
yeah.
I don't, I'm not a pessimistic person in any way, and I'm excited about the future. However, I do believe it's going to be quite messy,
Mm.
and very, very challenging,
Well, that,
in this next period of time. Um, but I'm incredibly encouraged by what we can do together, as I know you are. And
yeah,
if we can create spaces and structures for that to happen, then we're doing what we can to prepare all of us for what this kind of next space is going to look like. And entrepreneurship is being as disrupted as working out there in the world. So as unsafe as it is for AI in the corporate world,
yes,
for contributors, for us as humans, it's as unstable in the entrepreneurship world. So we add the instability of entrepreneurship, combine it with the instability of, oh, you thought you were a copywriter, right?
Yeah.
And so that disruption is going to be across the board. What does it mean to contribute? And I think that for me has been this core question. And it's, and in relationship to collaboration as well. But what is my contribution? And how does it shift when we approach it through the lens of collaborative entrepreneurship? I have no idea what your question was when we started this.
You're okay. You're on
I
there.
just
Neither have
went
I.
off.
Neither have I now. My brain is going in 10 different directions at once. You're keeping me on my toes, girly. Um, I I had a previous business partner who was very much into conspiracy theories and the state of the world and whose fault it was and whose fault it wasn't. And he was
Hmm.
adamant that revolution would have to happen before people would see collaboration as a good thing. We had to be totally devastated before we could pick ourselves up and pick up the pieces and carry on. And me being the
I
eternal
hope that's not
optimist,
true.
no. I said I want to build something. So for me, for the future, is build a space where people are supportive, they are loving, they are kind, they have a culture of helping each other. They have a success rate where we can measure income that's being generated in an economy that flows between everybody
Yep.
and for those that can't help themselves. And when Armageddon happens, and the politics of the day does not work anymore, we're not that far away from that, are we? When it doesn't work anymore, people have a place to go and people can have an
Hmm.
example to go, huh, they're doing that over there. I think I'm going to do
Yep.
that over here.
This is a better space to rebuild,
Yes, and we don't
you
have
know?
to, they don't have to come and join us. It's not about being in the know, it's about accessing what we have discovered while we are learning how to
Right.
do this stuff.
Because we're learning how to do this stuff.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
And it's a joy to learn for me because of the types of people that I get to meet, like yourself,
Yep.
who
Yeah, same.
sees that road forward, you know.
Hmm.
Are you
And
struck?
working on it from different angles and studying it in different ways and applying it in different ways. And yeah. And we need all of those pieces working, in different ways. And
The world is not black and white, it's
no.
multiple shades of grey, and we have to enhance that with our color. And that's where collaboration
Mhm.
comes in because what I've got a mini what's the word, one man, one woman, one person fight against labels. I think you said earlier about people shy away from things or they don't want to do it or they're scared of doing it. And I think they hide behind labels.
Mm.
Um, I'm black, so therefore I'm this. I'm Muslim, so therefore I'm that. I'm short, therefore I'm that. I'm a woman, therefore I'm that. I'm old, therefore I'm that. And it's like, no, none of that is true because
Mm.
the choice is down to you. And that's where I see collaboration, when everyone brings their backgrounds and their differences as a bonus rather than a negative. And when we
Well, I
see
think it's a requirement.
exactly, exactly. And once we see that, so we've had different people in our community, and they've said incredibly controversial things and incredibly unbelievable things. But we've taught them if you're going to say something, if we disagree, you're not going to go, yeah, but we just fancy, oh, that's ridiculous. You can't possibly. We have to
Right.
go, that's interesting. I've just been triggered by what you said, and I don't really know why. Can we talk about that and then unpack
Yeah.
it so
I
that we
love
can?
that about your community. And that's one of those kind of core strengths that's being developed inside your community is the ability to come together and have hard conversations.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's so core to collaboration. Um,
And it seems to be
Direct,
anti in our
challenging
work.
conversations and come out
Yeah,
stronger on the other side.
and agree to disagree, which is fine.
Yeah.
Where social media seems to think that's not okay. We have to be determined in our negativity and our judgment and our
There's a
blame.
lot more money to be made on division than there is on,
Yeah,
you know.
that's sad but true. Let's see if we can switch it around.
So,
There's
and
much
so it
more.
pushes to extremes.
Yes.
It pushes our belief systems to extremes by just doing that. And it's, yeah.
Mm. One of the things we talk about is love being our superpower. And again, going back to Buckminster Fuller, as a scientist, he acknowledged that over the years, science has learned how to develop things to be stronger and stronger from less and less.
Mm.
So, for example, in Stone Age day, you'd have a bridge built by massive boulders, and now you can have a bridge built by a tiny bit of steel that's so thin, but it holds up as much as the boulders would have done back in the day. But he said that love is the epitome of ephemeralization, doing
Mm.
more and more with less and less, because it's our super strength. It's the strongest thing on the planet. Love is the thing you can't touch, you can't see, you can't taste, but it's the one thing that connects us all together. So rather than us be a community of like, oh, there's nice people over there, aren't they lovely? I want it to be like, oh my goodness, look at them over there. They're incredible. This strength that we have that is beyond any recognition, because
Mhm.
strength in the past has been about brute strength and brute force,
Yep.
and that is still happening at the moment with the big conglomerates that are
Yep.
choosing whether to follow laws or not, choosing whether to pay their taxes or not, choosing how they protect children or not. All of these things are just
Our
awash.
first trillionaire.
Yeah, yeah, it's too much. Let's stop that. I'm going to put a pin in that. We're going to come back to the trillionaires later.
Mm.
Melissa Davis, when you were little, what what was that little girl like at 7 and 8 years of age? Do we see any glimmer of you today as you were then? Um, were you a collaborative soul, or were you quite a lonesome child?
So that's really interesting. Um, I I was always the one trying to coordinate the kids in the
Yeah.
neighborhood, you know? Um, I think where that childhood connection and for me now as an adult, and what has taken me a long time to realize or even recognize why this work is so important to me
Mm,
is because I never really felt connected to other kids when
okay.
I was a kid. I always, related a lot more to adults. I always felt like a little adult. And then in adulthood, I felt like I never grew up. I don't know. So,
Okay.
um, but I think it was that disconnection that I
Mhm.
felt. Now, this is not something I recognized at all as a kid or as an early adult or even middle-aged adult until very recently when you
Oh,
look back and you're like, why am I so driven? Why do I want this so much? Why do I want ecosystems that are built around collaborative entrepreneurship that make it easier for me to recognize opportunities so that I can see the ecosystem? So I, have support in understanding like, you know, what's happening and what connections could really be made um, is because I really struggle to do that. And if you, it's funny because if you ask, my husband, you ask my friends, people would say Melissa's an extrovert. And it's not true at all, right?
mm,
I absolutely can be out in the world and make amazing connections and I get energy off of that. And then I need to like retreat. And I've
yeah,
never been one of those natural connectors, you're those super connectors out in the world.
yeah.
You're closer to one of them, right? But do you know what I'm talking like people who are just like, do you know so and so and so? And oh my gosh, you guys should talk about this because you're some of what you're talking about is there's this overlap, or do you know about this resource? Do you know about all these things that could be helping you?
Yeah.
And I was never that person. And I always so appreciated that about other people. And so I think that this, me as this adult and all of this kind of building up to that, um, relates to kind of closing a deficiency for me in some way because I so see the value in that collaboration, in that connecting in with each other and that love and all of those human, wonderful, amazing things. And I struggle to do that on my own.
Yeah.
Uh, So as a kid, I struggled with that connection.
Right.
And not just as a kid. I think, that's it's something that's been a through line for me. But so yeah, that thing of it, as a kid, like me never really feeling like I think I never felt like I was a kid, one.
No.
And then I just
Uh,
not feeling connected though. So if you don't feel connected, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I mean, I had a few close friends, but outside of that, I felt like an alien, I think.
That's really interesting.
So
Have you
that's a
come?
weird fact about Melissa.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. But also,
Alien. I feel like an
I,
alien. I
I
felt like I didn't
resonate.
belong in my time. Oh, that's another thing. I did always feel like I'm like, I don't feel like I was born at the right time.
Oh,
It, that was this like dominant thought I had.
I
I was like,
wonder if this is
I don't know
your
how I ended up here.
maybe it's your first time here and you're going to come back again, or maybe you've been several times before and it's
Maybe
like, oh,
karmically that makes sense, I guess. I have a
yeah,
lot of growing to do.
don't we all? Yeah. Have you come across Ikigai? I'm sure you have. Yeah, that to me makes perfect sense from the point of view of being social and connecting with people is good for your longevity.
Hmm.
And good for your health, good for your mental health, good for your
Right.
physical health, all of those things. And I think I'm very similar to you, where if I'm on Zoom calls all day or I'm in London and I'm meeting people and I love it, absolutely love it. I
Love
will
it.
talk to strangers on the train, I'll talk to anybody. But the next day,
I'll drop dead the next day. I'm
yeah.
like, it's
And I think,
out, gone. It
I
could take a
think,
week.
yeah, if only we had that luxury, yeah. Um, but I think a lot of people are like that, and I think that's the way we're made. So forget the introvert extrovert label. I think we're all omniverts, and we're
Mhm.
on different parts of the spectrum at different times of our lives and
Sure.
different times of the day. Sometimes I'm not a great one first thing in the morning. And yet one of our members said, "Oh, can we have a collaboration global meeting in the morning?" I'm like, "Oh." I said, if you want to do it, you can. And they went, yeah, yeah, sure. So
Yeah.
now I turn up. I turned up. I'm going to turn up once to see what it's like and then let you get on with it, crack on. So I turned up and
Mhm.
then now I suffer from FOMO because it's so good. I don't want to miss out. So I go anyway, which is crazy. And I'm like, I don't, 8:30 in the morning, you're going to be on. What's going on?
I'm not a
Bearing in mind,
morning person either.
I used to do 6 a.m. in the morning, and I told myself I was a morning person for that period of time. And the minute I stopped, I'm like, oh, thank God. I don't have to
Thank God
do
I'm
that
not a
anymore.
morning person.
So yeah, I think our choices allow us to do things and not do things. Like
Mm.
getting up on stage in front of 500 people. So many are like, oh, I couldn't do that. No, you can. You absolutely can. Oh, I couldn't jump off and do a bungee jump. Yeah, you can. You might not want to, but you can. And it's all the choices that we tell ourselves is okay or not okay because this label, that label, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
All those
I
kinds
think
of things.
embracing the I don't want to
Yeah.
is a perfectly valid choice.
Yes,
So it's
exactly.
either, yeah, like, okay, so say you don't want to,
Yes.
not I can't. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And I've had a business coaches say to me, you could do this, you could do this. I said, yes, I could, but I don't want to. So
I
that's
don't
it.
want to.
That's
Right.
it.
Or I really want to do that, but I'm scared.
Yeah. Which again, Brene Brown, you stepping out of your comfort
Yeah.
zone and feel the fear
Yeah.
and do it anyway. Who was that one?
Well, and I think some of the reason that I was I'm obsessed with values. Values alignment is kind of really how this journey started to unfold for me.
Right.
Of course, our journeys are always completely unfolding. Don't you love how you like, oh, it's gotten me to this point in the journey. Like this
Yes.
is where we arrived. Oh no, we're in 2 years, we're gonna go like, oh, remember how that got you to this point in the journey? And you're like, who knows
Yeah.
what's gonna happen tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, with that, so values alignment, studying values, our deep personal values, and how that, creates this lens of action in our lives and how we view the world and all that stuff. And
Yeah.
um, but this duality of is it that this thing isn't right for me, meaning this decision isn't right for me because it's not aligned to my values, and that's why I'm feeling this way. I'm having a gut feeling,
Yeah.
right, of dissonance to my values, or am I experiencing fear? And if you don't know why you're feeling the way you're feeling,
Mm.
very, very hard to move forward.
Yeah.
So if you don't know if it's just fear and it's aligned or if it's not aligned and you shouldn't move forward. I mean, I don't know about you. It's quite a learning experience to know what your intuition is telling you, if this is the
Yeah,
right thing or not the right thing.
yeah,
Um, and and I guess for me, always looking for this, okay, how do I build something externally to like give me guidance on what it is I'm experiencing, what is my body telling me about this? Am I really experiencing fear around it, but it is the right thing for me to do? Or is my intuition telling me, this is not aligned for you?
interesting, isn't it? Have you got an example? Have you got a story that you can share that illustrates that?
Well, I mean, yeah, okay, so the speaking, example I think is perfect. Um, I earlier in my career, I always felt like the words were always the thing that got in the way for me, that I was not articulate. And I would, look at all of these people that
Yeah.
I really, really admired, and how articulate that they were. And I always felt like, oh God, I could never, stand. I could never do that. I could never get up in front of a room and and be articulate and to communicate an idea that I was passionate about. And and then when these opportunities start to come up, right? Um, and you're experiencing like, I would experience this, oh, is this really not for me? Am I not, do I not want to get up in front of a room and talk to people, right?
Hmm.
Um, or do I'm just experiencing fear. I don't know if that's like the perfect example, but taking the job, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Or leaving the job or
Yes.
starting the business. For me, a lot of what comes up, and this kind of relates to you saying, I'm not a morning person. My big fear is I don't have the capacity to
Right.
run something big.
Right. Yeah.
That's the big fear. And so the question becomes, is it that I don't have the capacity and I shouldn't do it? Or is it that I'm worried that I don't have the capacity and I need to think differently about how it's structured and shift my mindset around, well, what can it mean? You know, what could it mean for me to show up in this way if I'm worried I don't have the capacity? Well,
Mhm.
okay, let's figure that out because the drive, right? The the desire to do it and to build it is there.
So
Um,
what I always say to myself when I get that juxtaposition of not sure where to, so for example, if I've had a bad day in the office or my tech has been playing up, which is more familiar than I like to think, um, I say to myself, right, stop it, don't do it. Don't do it. So if there's something big coming up, like an event, somebody asked me to organize a London lunch, and this was back in
oh yeah.
April or something, and I was like,
You
uh,
just do reverse
didn't,
psychology on yourself to see what
yeah,
happens.
I didn't really
Yeah.
want to do it. So I was like,
But
so don't do it. In fact, don't do any of it. Don't do collaboration
yeah.
global. Just stop. Just leave it. Just walk
And then you go,
away.
no, 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 I'm
No.
going to do it.
But I give myself time for it to sink in, and I'm like, but I want to do it. I don't want to do it. And I'm
You
like
want
a
to do
petulant
it.
child. So you
It's a great idea. I love that.
and you there, and that's your true feelings coming through. And if your thought, when I give myself permission to stop and not do it, if my thought was relief, like, oh God, I don't have to do it, that's brilliant,
Yes.
I'm not going to do any collaboration club ever again. If I was relieved by that thought, I would have to stop it. But every time I just give myself an easy option out, I'm like, you're kidding, and I get angry inside. It's like, no, of course I'm not going to
Yep.
stop. Don't be ridiculous.
Yep.
Well, then how am I
Networking
going
is
to
like
fix
that for
it?
me.
And then
I
you
did that
find
for, yes.
that you'll find a way. And also look at other people that have the capacity that are doing huge things. It's like, well,
Yep.
how do they do it? If they can do it, of course I can do it. I don't know how yet. Not
Right. I
magic
don't know
word
how
yet.
yet.
But you
Yep.
will be able to. And I know exactly what you mean about having the capacity, because potential for collaboration global is like, what if this community were millions of people?
Right.
And it's like, well, don't think about that yet. Just think about the amazing people you've already got and look after them. That's all you've got to think about day by day. And as time goes on, the people will appear that will help you to look after a large community.
Yep.
So yeah, and we waste our headspace and our heart space on things that are never going to happen from the point of view of you're worried about how am I going to cope, but you will cope. because if it's your passion and it's what you're meant to do, if that's why you're here on this planet, you will find a way. Um,
with other people. You're not I mean, the constant reminder, even though we are, well, that we're so invested in collaboration, got to remind ourselves we're not doing it alone.
yeah, that's
Carrying
not the
any
idea.
of
You're
it
not
alone.
supposed to. Yeah, it's all good. Hey, look at my collaboration community, but no, I'm not going to do it with anybody else. It's just mine. It's just all mine. Yeah. That would look so good, wouldn't it? Brilliant.
Oh,
So, what's your ambition then for your ecosystem that you're building? What in your dream of dreams, your outlandish world? I mean, mine is ridiculously massive that
that it
we're going to replace
replaces LinkedIn.
governments, obviously.
Well, first that it replaces LinkedIn for entrepreneurs, small business owners, freelancers, creatives, all of us collaborative entrepreneurs.
Nice.
Um, and that it really has the capacity to democratize entrepreneurship. That that we really look at how we show up to entrepreneurship differently, and
Mm,
that there is a different way to be a contributor as an entrepreneur than being the whole thing, right? That's really that kind of shift in our understanding of how we contribute as entrepreneurs, and having a very different space to show up and to build and to create and to be in front of people and all of the things. That's quite different than um, where we currently have to show up to do that most of the time.
yeah.
Um, but for me, the giant goal is to really stabilize the job of entrepreneurship, because when entrepreneurship thrives, our communities and our economies thrive.
Yeah.
And when we're thriving, we can live as human beings together in much different ways. When
Mm,
we're not living in that scarcity, when we are not living um, in this space where we're competing for contribution, right? It's such a strange, and we're going to be forced into this space where you're going to, we're going to need to reimagine what our contribution as human beings looks like anyway.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess just back to how we were talking about it before. But it's going to be a wild ride.
Wild ride.
And in
Yeah.
some ways can be incredibly freeing for us as human beings, but I think it's going to be very challenging in the middle.
Have you, I mean, you're in on the East Coast, aren't you, in the US?
Hmm.
So obviously in that arena there are certain ways of people thinking and acting, and I think obviously Middle America, Western America, have you been into an environment where you say, hey, let's all collaborate, and people go, are you crazy? Yeah, I don't want any competition. I'm going to stick to my, doing my own
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely. Well, and you brought up BNI. I'm I've I'm not a huge fan of the BNI as it exists today because I
Hmm.
actually find it quite competitive,
Yeah.
exclusive, right? In
Yeah.
this idea of, oh, there's already a lawyer in the group, right? There's already an insurance person in the group. Doesn't matter what they do, right? There's already a, car salesperson in the group. There's already a business coach in the group, right?
Yeah.
And so it becomes this um
Rigid.
rigid, exclusive space of like, well, I do this. We just refer people and only that person because we're in the same group together, not because we've developed relationships and understand where this crossover is. And it's limited almost exclusively to referral type relationships. And there's such a big world out there of collaboration that we just almost rarely touch on in entrepreneurship. We're pretty good at some of this exchange-based collaboration, where we're
Yeah.
advising each other, where we've send referrals to each other. We may, a lot of entrepreneurs trade time with each other. That's a fantastic way to collaborate.
Hmm.
But um, there's a big step from that into co-creation with each other and exploring how what we do can actually fit together in a very different way from how we imagine our businesses right now. And there's everything in between, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of people can be very closed off to that when and depending on the group and you know one group of people can be so incredibly different than another.
That's true. That's
Um,
very true. And I
yeah,
think the guidelines, the so-called protocols and rules of BNI are founded in that 1980s era, where in the UK you could get somebody to knock on your front door and try and sell you double glazing, and then they wouldn't leave your house until you signed on the dotted line. It was very intense and, the hard sell. And I think that's where this protectionism comes from in BNI, where you're only allowed one this and one that. And I can see why
yeah.
they've done it, so that people feel um, there's a reason to stay, because if they go, somebody else might take their seat and get the business that they should have got. So it's this fear, scarcity,
Yep.
competition model that
Yep.
it's run on. And I'm hoping at some point, someday, they'll ring us up, you or me, and say, can you come, Melissa, can you come and teach all our BNI people how to collaborate? Because we think they'll be more successful if they do
Mhm.
that. And we'll be like, yes, sure, okay. We
Yeah.
charge this much.
That's fantastic.
But yeah, I do think there are some networking groups out there that have sussed about it, but then they become a soft version of networking, where BNI, if you do exactly what it says on the tin, you will get a modicum of success, and it's well worth
I mean,
your time.
I know a lot of entrepreneurs who swear by it. They love it.
Absolutely. And and I've
So
been a big,
that's
big
great.
part of it. And when it works really, really well. But I think the people that don't like it or have tried it and come out of it have gone off and set up their own networking or tried a different version. And then it becomes just a nice place to hang out, which
Yeah.
is okay, because networking will
Right.
then
You can only
happen.
just go have coffee with so many people, right? That's why I
Exactly.
stopped networking. I'm like, this is just scattershot, right? There's 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 a more intentional way to do this. That's
Yeah,
not
exactly.
the exclusive competitive nature of BNI.
Yeah. Yeah, and just poles opposite, going one way or the other is too far, and there is that compromise
Mhm.
in between. Whereas you say
Yes.
being intentional is
Yep.
is how you kind of can do it. And that always makes me laugh when we used to have the face-to-face meetings at Collaboration Global, and people would come and they'd sit in the same seats because they felt comfortable in the same seats, and they'd sit next to the same person and have little
Hmm.
conversation. How was your month? And da, 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 all this kind of thing.
Yep.
And then I'd say, well, you two are working together, aren't you? And they're like, what? Why? No, we've got nothing in common. We've got totally different businesses. Yes, but you've got the same
We're just
market.
friends. We
So yeah,
became
exactly.
business
So
friends.
they hadn't
Yeah.
bothered to explore those nitty-gritty
Yep.
conversations that will bring the
Yeah.
business to them. And I'm like, oh, the whole point of you getting together is
But that's
not just
like we're just not good at it. It's a skill set, right? And I want
yeah.
us to get to the point where, and I think this is tougher for women than it is for men, but where we get to the point where, we've had a few conversations because we're saying there's something here. There's definitely a way that we can support each other more tangibly, right?
Mm,
That we can grow together here. And you and I think we're definitely in that space of like, well, we know we're growing up together here, and you're ahead of me. You're like, right? But there are absolutely ways that we're going to be able to support each other. Um, Getting to that point where when we recognize an opportunity, that we're not hedging around that we can say, Jill, what do you think about this? I think that we could, right? And we're not shying away from that because I'm worried about what you'll think, or because, right?
right.
And I think that directness and that intentionality of looking for those opportunities when there's alignment there, and saying, and for you to say, "Oh, you know what? That sounds pretty cool. I've got to be heads down right now for the next, can we explore this again in 6 months? Because I'm not in the
Yeah.
headspace to be able to do that right now. I'm definitely not discounting it. And that's fantastic. We're still good friends, right? We're
Yeah,
still
yeah.
on our radar and have it spiraling around. It may not be the right time,
Timing is everything. It's when
but
it's
we're
the
not
right time
afraid
and
to
the right
talk
place.
about it.
But also, we will have spent time doing the groundwork and the
Right.
foundations of exploring your values, exploring my
Yeah.
values, exploring the values of the community,
Yeah.
exploring where we could take it, exploring
Right.
all the
Or
different
even like I
possibilities.
feel a little uncomfortable with that and I'm not sure why. So I'm gonna
Yes. Yeah. And you said that thing about that. And I just, that happened to me before. And I just, well, oh no, I didn't realize. I'm so sorry. This happened because of that. And it's that openness
Yeah,
that you can bear all and still be friends, or even go, okay, well, that's your value. I see why that's your value. I don't think I'm totally aligned with that, but in the purposes of our collaboration, it's not relevant. So let's go ahead.
right.
I just want you to know that you do you, and I'm going to do me over here.
Right.
Um,
And I'm going to have that on my radar because now I know what aligns for you. And if I run across something that is like kind of click right into that, now I know how to connect you guys.
yeah, and that's
Yeah.
the beauty, I
But it's
think.
an evolution.
What it is, and when you start learning how to think about the other person first before yourself, how can I help this person? What can I do?
Right.
Who do they need? What do they need? Do I know somebody that can help them? Is it me that can help them? And then
Yep.
you're not having a sales conversation. It's like, okay, so I think you need me because you've got this problem, and when should we start
Oh,
working? And this is how much I charge. Oh,
I
it
can't, I can't tolerate like a drop of that anymore.
No, it feels old hat, and yet, literally this morning we had somebody pop into one of our meetings, and he came late, and he didn't know a thing about what had been going on, and we asked him a question. He totally ignored the question and just pitched to us, and we were like, and
Ugh.
he didn't stop. He went on and on and on and on, and I had to go, excuse me, excuse
It's just
me.
trained that way though. We get trained.
Yes. And I don't blame him at all
They
because
got,
that's the environment that he's in at the moment. And he's probably been told, this is what you
yep.
say, this is how you say it. Don't give him a chance to breathe because then, you're never going to get everything out. And I felt a bit sorry for him. And hopefully he was able to kind of learn a little bit from us and we learned a little bit from him.
Right.
But
Model it.
there are so many people out there that are doing that still.
Hmm.
And I just think the tide has turned, but I want it to be a tsunami.
Yeah.
Just want it to
Yeah.
be more and
Me
more
too.
people
But it
realizing.
doesn't need to be a tsunami. And it doesn't need to be a tsunami because that, we look at that, you know, the adoption of innovation curve, right?
Mhm.
Um, and we're still in the space of the early adoption, right? And
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
beginning of that curve. But I think that, that's going to accelerate. And I think it's the right time for us to be studying this deeply and really learning from, what's working, what's not working, what do we still need to understand? How do we really help people
Mm.
uh, get better at this together? So that'll just continue to build, I think, that momentum into a tsunami eventually.
Yes, yeah. And I think sometimes it's when an idea, well, its time has come, then it happens. And you can see that happening for a lot of people where they're in business. And I think, has, its time has come and it's now, and that is a tsunami at the moment. And I
Mhm.
made a prediction a little while ago that in 6 to 9 months, a lot of that bubble will have burst.
Mhm.
Yes, we want automations. Yes, we want to do less of the admin work. But when people start putting bots in the place of real communication, it's actually going to be slowing everything down rather than making it faster. Just because you
Mhm.
can send out 1,000 emails via a bot, via AI, scraping information and shoving it out as an email or a post, it doesn't mean to say people
Right.
can't spot that and go, oh, well, I'm not even going
Oh,
to answer that because
I
they're
don't even, I
nobody
can
will.
tell from, 90% of the time just by not even opening up an email. And I just delete, delete, delete. I mean, you can just see the
Yeah,
patterns. It just,
yeah. But
our spidey senses are pretty good.
I think AI will get better and we won't spot it quite so easily. And it worries me that the videos that we won't spot quite so easily.
I know.
But I do think we will just end up stop clicking on anything and we will only answer from people that we know.
Right.
So there won't be any cold call emails or anything like that. So that's when the bubble will burst and it will be
Yep.
like, well, you've got all this available, but we're not going to use
Just
it
going to
because
backslide
it's not real. We want,
entirely into, we can't trust any of this out there.
yeah,
And so it's back to individual connection.
yeah, yeah. And I think
That's okay.
social media is going to have to catch up with that very soon. So I think, I don't know about you, but a lot of people are coming off a lot of apps because it's just
Yeah.
noise. and it doesn't tell you anything.
Yep.
And when somebody sends me something, I don't know, but I generally do a little check and go, oh no, this is a false fact. And then send it back to them, and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. And it's like, don't send me stuff. Just, I'm not
Yep.
interested.
Yeah.
The world is changing, and I think the only way we are going to thrive, we're going to survive for sure, but the only way we're going to thrive is by being real, being authentic, being our genuine selves, and understanding who that is for us,
Yep.
understanding what your values are, what your mission is in life, what legacy you want to leave, and connecting up with
Yep.
others like that
Clarity.
so you can make the music happen. Yeah, and clarity, having that clarity. And so many
Yep.
people have nice feelings and want to hang out, and that's fine, but it's going to morph into something. And I think the time is close, but it's not quite there yet. People are getting the
Yep.
feels for it, but they don't realize how powerful collaboration can truly be.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Right? They're feeling it, they're sensing it, but they still don't know, right, how powerful, that connection can be when we look at it differently and we actually start collaborating, right? But we also really lack the creativity.
Yeah.
That's okay. The creativity can be overcome.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
mindset and the openness and bringing that diversity, getting that personal clarity. That's the work we have to do as humans. We can, we'll get better at the creativity and we can use tools for that too.
Do you think that the millennials, baby boomers, are ready for collaboration, but maybe Gen Z are going to miss the boat?
I don't know. I think that's yet to be seen. I think,
Mm.
no, I don't think so.
They are used to being more isolated than we ever were. And I worry that they, I mean, they might be happy collaborating at a distance online, but I worry that they lack the skills of communication and connection to make it happen. So we have to demonstrate this is how you do it. Um, Not necessarily that there is a this is how you do it only
Yeah,
way. There's a million different ways of doing it, but to give them some idea of how to.
yeah,
Um, and when I say them, it's a sweeping statement. Obviously, there's going to be people within that generation. I hate putting labels. Gen Z is, but it's an era of people that were caught up in COVID, that were
yeah.
not given the best education that they might have had, that are living through their mobile devices.
Yep. What's the
Um,
age range for that now?
oh
So I think
gosh,
my son is at the
I think it's
one
up,
end of that.
up to 24, is it? Something like that.
He's 16. He's at
Yes,
the bottom end of that.
right.
Um, and I think that's going to be true for some people. I think that's going to be true for some people of all ages because I think that a percentage of the population has fallen into that
Yeah,
period.
yeah,
Right? But there's a big, and maybe it's that generation, that lower end of that generation, and then after that, where there's almost been this like pushback again of not being on social media exclusively and being together in person. And, I mean, my daughter's a little bit younger, my son's 16. Um, he, they're not struggling with that,
no,
right?
that's good.
They're connecting in person. Now, my son went to a great school district. He's had, a lot of privilege that probably a lot of other people haven't had. He's had parents that have always kind of pushed him to have, to talk to everybody and to talk to adults. And he's
Yeah,
just that kind of kid
that's
who communicates and connects with people. Um, but I see him and his friends and they are really making an effort to connect with other people. So I don't
mm,
know. I think we all have work to do
yeah,
for different reasons.
yeah,
We're coming with all these with a bunch of different baggage and deficits in different areas. I
that's
think we're all
right.
going to teach each other something.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my children are millennials, and again, it's sweeping statements. It doesn't really mean anything at all, but they are very strict with their children over screens. And on
Yeah.
occasion, I've been told off by showing them like photos on my phone. Oh, do you want to see a photo of your cousin? You know, have a look at it. Jill, put the phone away. Sorry.
Oh,
But you know,
well, they're
I
better at it than I
agree.
have been.
I mean, she's only 3, so I get that, you know, they don't, and the children are already knowing how to do all this,
You know how
and
to do
it
all, yeah.
does something, you know, so it is interesting. And when my children were teenagers and they bring their friends around, and if I was in the house, I'd be like, no, you come talk to me first because this is my house. So you don't just come in and go upstairs and hang out with my daughter. You come in, you say hello to me. It's called a conversation. And I go, hi, how are you? Have you had a nice day? And they're like, oh, she's talking to me. What the hell? Um, but you know, they've hung around, they put up with me,
Good
and
practice.
yeah, exactly. And we're out of practice now. We're out of practice of having those good
We all are.
conversations.
Oh, I am. I mean, yeah, it's easy to slip into. It's really easy to slip into that.
Mm. Do you sit around the dinner
Yeah.
table with your children and have a conversation about, you know, so what have you learned
Yeah, I mean,
today?
sometimes we have to force them to stay, but yeah.
I
Like,
remember
where are you going?
when
Yeah.
but my youngest was probably about 12 and we sat around the dinner table and I always do this thing about what have you learned today? She says, and what have you learned? And I'm like, huh.
Oh.
Yeah, what have I learned? That's a good question. So that it just became a thing that we would do that. And of course, I said no devices at the table, which was fair enough. But if we go out for dinner or something and I've left my phone there because I want to take a photo of the cute grandchildren, they're like, okay, so I'll put my phone. You know, it's so they tell me off, and that's absolutely fine about, you know, and I really agree with that because we want this 3-year-old to be able to have a proper conversation, and she
Yeah.
does. She's like, let's have a chat, Nanny. I said, okay, let's do, you know, what do you want to talk about? She says, what have you been up to? I said, well, I've had a lovely day. What have you been up to? She said, I don't know. She can't remember. But it's like with the to-ing and fro-ing of the conversation has already started, and it's an art. There's an art to conversation, and there is an art to collaboration. So,
Absolutely.
Melissa, what message would you like to leave our listeners with as they go forward with thinking about how they might collaborate?
It's something popped into my head earlier that I really wanted to like drill home, and now it has left me. However, what I would leave people with is, I loved what you said about approaching with how can I help you, right? As opposed to how can I make money off of you? We're trained to do that. We're
Yeah,
trained to try to recognize that opportunity. But
yeah,
the real opportunity, if we can just make a simple shift of what could we what could we create together that would create more than we could alone,
yeah,
right? That could um be more impactful, that could serve us both together. It's just that simple shift, just like you said, how can I help you? Um, or some other question that shifts the focus away from how can I, take advantage of meeting you? Like, what's the opportunity for me to what's the
yeah.
opportunity for us
Yes, that's a really
together?
nice one. Yeah,
What's the opportunity for us? And that opens up everything. That opens up a conversation that subconsciously changes how you interact with people.
yeah, yeah. And it does, as you say, it's that subliminal shift, but your conversation changes as a result, and you open so many doors from
And it's
that.
way easier. It's way
Yeah.
easier. You're going to feel an immediate relief of
Mm.
approaching that interaction and meeting somebody. If you love to go out for networking, but just having that approach of like, how can I help them if that works for you? Or how,
Yeah.
how could we help each other? How could we help each other?
Yeah.
That's it, right?
Yes.
That
Like I say, it's
you
not
approach with
rocket science.
curiosity, the whole thing changes.
Yeah. It's less stressful, isn't it? You've got less angst, you've got less anxiousness and
Yeah,
all the things
exactly.
that
You don't
pop
need
up
to
in
know
your
what to
head.
do.
No.
You
And you
just
haven't got to learn a pitch, you
start
haven't got to
exploring
learn all
differently.
those things. It's like, and when people say, what do you do? I generally say, Well, it could take me all day to tell you that. What do I usually say? I'm a domestic goddess and all the rest. But tell me more about you. What are you passionate about? What gets you out of bed in the morning? That's what I want to know. And then
Yeah.
having those conversations, it takes the pressure off of, I do this, I do this, I do this, and I can help you with that, and I can help you with that. And how are you getting on
Yeah.
with this at the moment? Because I can help you with that as well. That's not the helping we're talking about. It's just like, hey, let's have a good conversation, get to know each other.
Right.
And then as
Yep.
a part of that, you'll find out what they do for a living, how they make their money. And then
Yep.
from that moment on, you find out, well, actually, because you do that, I might be able to help you with that. And then you're friends for life. Melissa, if somebody wanted to get hold of you and continue this conversation or possibly collaborate with you, what's the easiest way for them to get hold of you?
I think LinkedIn's probably the easiest way to get in touch with me. Um, yeah, that's going to have all of the updated, website. We're rebranding, new
Ooh,
website coming out. So
exciting.
in flux, LinkedIn is the best place to connect, even though I just said I wanted to, you know, replace LinkedIn. But right
Well,
now,
it doesn't mean to say LinkedIn has to
we can connect on
disappear.
LinkedIn.
We're just going to create something for
That's
collaborators.
right.
It's a bit like LinkedIn, but slightly better. Okay, and of
Yep.
course, um, as Melissa is a member of Collaboration Global, she might be popping up at some of our guest sessions at some point. So if you wanted to come along and meet her, you can come along and find us at collaborationglobal.org and book yourself into a meeting, or find us on Eventbrite as well. Melissa, I just want to say thank you for a gorgeous conversation. You've reiterated to me why I believe in collaboration so much. You're looking at it from the entrepreneur perspective, but also it just dovetails into everything that we are about at Collaboration Global. So I'm really, really proud that you are part of our community, and I love what you are doing in yours as well. So thank you for being on the podcast today.
Oh, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. I always love talking to you and love being in your community and all the work that we're collectively doing together.
Thank you so much. We'll see you again soon.